Have you noticed how fast everything escalated this week? Like every disagreement became gaslighting, and every discomfort became a red flag. Every urge to leave became protecting my energy. Welcome to this week's episode of High Heels to Happy Feels. I'm Natalie.
I'm Stephanie.
Okay, so seriously, every nervous system spike became I just know. It felt like intensity automatically became the authority. And if you felt it strongly enough, it had to be true, right? And I don't think that's accurate because strong is not the same thing as clear. And I'm not saying people were inventing things. I'm saying we've gotten addicted to escalation, like fast to label, fast to diagnose, fast to exit, and speed feels powerful. But to me, speed really isn't discernment.
God, you're so, ugh, it was so, yes. And that's what stood out to me too, right? Because it's not that people were wrong or that we're wrong. Um, it was that everything skipped the middle, right? There was no, hey, let me sit with this for a minute. Let me see how this feels. It was like, nope, I felt it. So that's it. It's true. And case closed. I mean, it's total verdict energy. There is no middle ground, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And verdict energy, it feels decisive, right? But decisive isn't always the mature or the right way to look at things.
Oh God, I'm so over the gaslighting. And let's talk about this, right? Let's get into this gaslighting piece because real gaslighting exists. And gaslighting is thrown around the last couple of years as a term that's come back from decades and decades ago. It's manipulation, folks. It's psychological harm. It's serious. We're not minimizing that. And no one else should be either. But culturally this week, disagreement itself just felt criminal, right? It's like you have a different memory. You're gaslighting it.
Mhm.
It's a different past. You're gaslighting it. Different interpretation. Oh, total gaslighting. Pushback. That's toxic. Don't push back. That's inflation. Inflation removes the nuance from these conversations, and two people can experience the same moment, the exact same thing, completely differently. Memory is reconstruction. That's what it, I mean, we're taking something and reconstructing it in our mind best on what
Yep,
we remember.
absolutely.
And when you've got your nervous system spiking in there, that difference becomes threatening. It feels like a threat. And so we get defensive. We automatically, how do you respond to a threat? You defend yourself. That's just the nature of everything we are. And that defense has a label. So instead of just saying we're seeing things differently, it becomes you're gaslighting me. Quit gaslighting me. And that just boom, shuts the door for any conversation, any opportunity to clarify, anything like that. And it has nothing to do with the fact that anyone is evil. It's just that your nervous system screamed at you. So boom, went this direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, and I brought Dad's profession up before, but I think like witnesses and jury pools and all of
Oh
that,
God.
they
You,
talk about eyewitnesses, and you can have 18 eyewitnesses, and you're going to get 18 different stories.
yep.
And it's not because somebody wants to be gaslighting somebody else, it's because that's how their memory is reconstructing it. So it's like a real thing.
Oh, yeah. They'll also tell you a different color of the vehicle. It could have been black, but one's going to say it was gray. One will say, oh, well, it had kind of a silvery color to it, because the black and the reflection. One will say charcoal. Who knows?
And rightfully so, we have to trust your gut, but that trust your gut energy is everywhere right now too.
Hmm.
And instinct is real, intuition is real. But this week, every spike became a revelation. And that's not how our nervous systems are supposed to work. Like sometimes a spike is danger. I agree with that. And sometimes it's a memory, but sometimes it's ego threat. And sometimes it's your own insecurity. And sometimes it's a stretch. And not all stretches are misalignments.
So true. Your nervous system it doesn't only remember the trauma, right? It remembers rejection,
Hmm.
embarrassment, being wrong. I mean, your body, when we say nervous system, it's your body. So your body has ways of remembering all these things, of being exposed, right? Sometimes you just know. That's part of that memory thing and what we do with that and how we we, yeah, we're able to just go, oh, okay, this has happened before, right? There's a trigger,
Right.
there's a tick, there's something in your body. Sometimes you do just know, and you just don't like how it feels. And it makes it difficult and it's different.
It is because when your body does respond and it's like, oh, I do just know this. Well, it's not that you know that in an intuitive point. You know that because you don't like how that made you feel.
Right.
It's like your memories popping up again. And it's strange because culturally we reward the language that sounds powerful. I mean, of course we do.
Of
Because,
course.
I'm guided or I'm protecting my energy or I'm alive and I'm aligned and I like all of the things. And what we don't reward is regulation. And I need to stop and I need to sit back and I need to think about this.
Hmm. Go old school, right?
Right.
I need to take a pause. I need to think about it. I need time.
Right. I actually, I'm going to quit racing. I'm going to quit being fast, like I mentioned off the top. But regulation, that stop, that pause, that thinking is what makes intuition accurate. And that lives in all of our four pillars. Like the mind is about how you interpret, heart is about what you attach meaning to, your body is how your nervous system reacts, and your spirit is what you believe that reaction means. So if one of those gets dysregulated and you're speeding through things and that intensity starts masquerading as a truth.
Oh my God. I have a good, as you're saying that one that clicked for me this week that was like that, right? That the whole masquerade of your body. And basically it was, I mean, nutshell version of it, ego check. There was a moment that I had, I've told you about this conversation much earlier in the week, and I took it personally. I was like, huh. So you're saying basically that had I had more time to sit with something, I would have not done this other part, which in my mind, I was like, yeah, I would have. Yes, I would have.
Right.
I didn't take time to sit with it. I didn't, but I wasn't reactive. I don't know. But all in all, the whole thing around that, when I sat back and like talked with you about it and just sat through and talked through the whole thing again, it was just about my ego. It still is, right?
Right.
Because ultimately that's just one person's opinion of what they think that I would have done or me would have reacted had I had more time.
Yeah,
Well,
it was a challenge.
right? It was a challenge. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, but you're speaking for something like I, I don't know. The whole thing is very weird and it still bothers me obviously a little bit, but it's ego. That's an ego thing because all I'm thinking is, why would you think you'd know how I would act had I had a little more time?
Right. Totally. I kind of felt that same surge of clarity in something too, and it felt decisive. And if I had acted right then, it probably would have been dramatic. But, 24 hours later, no charge, no, the electricity of the situation kind of kind of came down. And it was the same facts. Nothing had changed, but my nervous system, I settled in, I didn't respond, and that was the difference for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was the whole thing was interesting, right? And the astrology last week was a lot about that. But you know what was really interesting too is we saw a whole rebranding of ghosting,
Oh,
right? I
for
mean,
real.
we still talk about ghosting, but now it's like, no, it was releasing energy. I'm protecting my vibe, right? I'm closing karmic contracts. Sometimes stepping away is absolutely the best course of action, without a doubt, but don't dress it up spiritually. Don't,
Right.
not cool, right? That's avoidance, it's plain and simple. So if you're avoiding it, just say, look, I mean, go to old school. I need time. Don't avoid, don't, ghost, don't do any of that, and don't dress it up spiritually. I mean, don't do that.
Yeah, just stand on your business.
Yeah.
Because we've collapsed discomfort and danger into the same category. And discomfort is all about, this is hard, where danger is this is harmful. And if you treat hard like harmful, you are going to exit every stretch and you're going to have no growth. And stretch is where the growth happens. And so culturally, escalation is already being rewarded. And then the astrology has amplified that emotion.
Big time. Big
Right.
time. Because Mercury stationed retrograde in Pisces, right? So we went retrograde. Mercury retrograde, I mean, Mercury goes retrograde 3 to 4 times a year. And we all know it brings some communication breakdowns. I think we could clarify that on a global level without any problem whatsoever there.
Well, yeah, and we've had it so many times minutely just since it went retrograde and then like, oh my God, the explosion of it. But yes.
Right? But Mercury slows in Pisces. So the communication gets slower and memory gets louder and timelines will blur more. Um, because Pisces, remember, is all around the intuition and so on, and that different piece, and it's ruled by Neptune. So there's a lot going on there. But sometimes that unresolved can feel really immediate. So
Mm,
if you're already reactive about something, this week just totally magnified it. This last week did for you. If you're already super sensitive to something, then this week just made it super deep. It just cut. The astrology did not create the charge, it just amplified it for us. And there was I mean, it started the beginning of the year. I mean, it really got heavy, February 20th when we started really getting into all the Aries. And now we've got these retrograde and we've got conjunctions and we've got 7 planets that'll be in Aries the end of this coming week. And so there's a lot of identity wrapped around this activation for all of us.
right.
What was triggered? Who was the most harmed from this? Who was the most misunderstood? Because pain is real. I mean, it's real for everybody. But we have to remember that every uncomfortable interaction, every single one we have is trauma in some form or another, right? Because whether it creates just an emotional trauma, a physical trauma, whatever that is, it makes us uncomfortable. Trauma makes us uncomfortable.
Right. But not every uncomfortable interaction is necessarily like it's trauma to your nervous system. You're absolutely right. Not every hard conversation is a wound, and sometimes it's just tension. And
Yeah,
tension isn't necessarily that diagnosis of trauma. So you have to really differentiate everything that you're experiencing. And it requires that regulation that we were talking about, that sitting back, that stepping back and being like, let's get to the reality point of this. Because that lives in your body and your mind first before your spirit jumps in and is like, here's the meaning we're going to assign it. Like you said, we're spiritually wrapping identity. Like all of this stuff is wrapped into spirituality. And that's just not the case all the time.
right. It's not always wound up in spirituality. It's sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's just the day to day. And Friday was super electric. Yeah,
Mhm.
we had the moon conjuncting Jupiter, and we had the sun conjunct the north node. Mars is square Uranus, expansion plus volatility. So it felt decisive. It felt really charged. It felt very righteous.
That's a really good word. Righteous is
And
a
if
really
you look at it now with the hindsight that we have of the things that happened on Friday evening into Saturday morning,
right.
charged, righteous, and decisive. Yeah.
Underscore, underscore.
Yeah. But Mars square Uranus is impulsive.
Yeah.
Shocking. Electricity is going to feel powerful, but the power is not always precise. It's not always about the precision. And
Yeah,
I
that's the line though, because intensity is not insight. If something felt urgent and dramatic, that was the moment to pause because clarity is going to survive a pause. Activation, true spirituality is going to be there after the pause, but activation that it doesn't survive the pause.
oh, don't you wish we could get this message to the right people?
Right.
I mean, really,
Oh,
you
stop,
know,
down, regulate.
and be like, don't react. Don't do that. Don't.
Regulators, ride.
Right? Nice, young guns. Woohoo! Regulators. Let's rock. Yeah. All right. Our moon went into Leo this last week, right? Moon shifts every 2.5 days or so in the next sign. The expression really increased. So Leo's the vibrato, right? Your stage, you're front and center. You need all the attention. It's got kind of that ego because it wants to be visible. The question became where were you expressing that truth and where were you defending it? Or were you defending your identity and
Hmm.
not your truth? Because pride, it can disguise itself just as easily, just as pride can disguise itself honestly as easily, I think, as intuition can.
Yeah, I would agree. And this week really required maturity. Like not
Big time.
not regulating and not suppression and not denial, but true regulation, separating that feeling from the meaning. And the problem is our culture just rewards reactivity. And and the astrology then turned around and amplified it.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
it's so reactive. And the thing is that pause, yeah. Mm,
Yeah. If we could just force everybody into the pause, into the liminal space, just stop and breathe and turn around and look at what's happening and look forward.
right.
Where do you want to move to from here?
Right. Because once you take that action, you can't go back. I
So
mean,
true.
you can take new actions, you can adjust, but you can't go back. You can't change it. So don't do something you're going to regret. And here we are. So,
Yeah, don't act in a way that you wouldn't want to see on the front page of a paper.
yes. Yes, that's very good.
And I think it's very timely for
Yeah.
our worldly environments. So,
Yep, the
because
big
really,
Cheeto in charge. Yep.
the power move was really the space.
Yeah.
Live in the liminal space.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, if that, I don't think the energy is going to so flowingly change because, like Stephanie mentioned, we're coming into a whole nother set of things that we'll talk about, I'm sure, on our next podcast because we
Mm-hmm.
talk about the week as the week happens. But if this week has been hard for you, it's information. It's information about how you need to strengthen your regulation and your intuition. And it doesn't really start with just louder feelings. It starts with that stronger regulation in your mind and your heart and your body and your spirit.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got free tools for that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it'll help you map those pillars and really see where your reactivity lives. So it's really helpful and timely right now because you can find where your clarity can come from, where what you can rely on. Because intuition isn't about being dramatic, it's about being accurate. And over intuition, being able to regulate who you are when you're not in the woo.
Yes. And it's fun because you and I were talking about this right before we were recording too, because I'm late. I have been traveling. So for those waiting on topic of the week early tomorrow morning or for the astrology video, it's coming. I promise. It just is late. Um,
Yeah,
but
she's at my house. I'm at my dad's house.
right, and I got here tonight. So yeah, we're all over the place right now. But all that said, the topic of the week and astrology of the week this coming week too, just really drive all this home. I mean, if it's real, it can wait, right? There's a whole spiritual side of your life and there's a whole physical reality. If it's real, it can wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's clear, it doesn't shout at you. Like just sit back, regulate,
Yeah.
sit in that space. Space is where the power is.
Space is where the power is.
Right? Right?
Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's short, it's sweet, but we're on point. And grab your soul pillars, everybody. immersivespirit.com/soul pillars. It's really good. And they're free.
Yeah, they are.
Um,
And they're very helpful. And it's a very timely, if you guys haven't already gotten them, because we talk about them almost in every episode. If you haven't already gotten them, this is your reminder to go get them because these weeks, they're tough. They feel tough.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
whatever tools you need to help you get through, I think is an amazing thing. And ours happen to be free. So go get them.
They are free. And if you haven't already, you're welcome to. It is the page is live to get on the wait list for our intuitive operating system. This is the inaugural. I mean, it's or I shouldn't even say inaugural. It's the founder's launch, right, of this one. So this is the only time it will be available at a very low price. Um, 10 live sessions. So we have cohorts that are scheduled. It is scheduled to kick off in April. I had to think about that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah, it'll
if
be
you're
great.
curious.
It's our first online cohort set. So we've
Yep.
done some refinements and done some really cool stuff, and
Yep. It's
we're
10
gonna have
weeks.
live.
Of the lives anyway. Obviously, if you take longer to go through the material, that's entirely up to you.
Mhm. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Anyway, we'd ask that, if you're interested in digging in deeper into a lot of this and how you can really make it all relatable for you, it's another tool for you in your toolbox. But check out Soul
Absolutely.
Pillars first because those are free. I think that's
Totally. Go get them. Go get them, and sign up for the wait list. Even if you don't join the first co online cohort, at least you'll get some of the information about how that's rolling out and what that's going to look like. So you can, maybe put it in your toolbox even someday down the road.
Yeah, good
Never know.
idea. Wait list, wait list.
Yeah,
That's
check it out.
cost you nothing. Right on.
All right. So that's it for High Heels to Happy Feels this week. We appreciate you joining us, and we will
Yes.
see you again next week.
Yes, we will. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.